thank you everybody for lasting this long. I think you've all had a wonderful couple of days. You've been to many very exciting, very interesting, very technical talks. So I think you will all leave here wiser than you arrived. And I don't know why Miles is laughing. have you left less wise?
He hasn't left yet.
But okay, Miles has lost some wisdom. Hopefully we can tap what remains over the next half an hour or so. So would you please give a round of applause to all the speakers who have contributed to Scala Days? Thank you. So I have here a panel of, I can count, 5 Scala luminaries who are going to be able to answer, or they're going to try at least, to answer some of your questions this afternoon. By the way, you're probably experiencing this too. We're all sitting here with very bright lights shining in our eyes, and it's a little bit like the Spanish Inquisition. I made that joke once in Spain and got a much deadlier silence. Deadlier being the operative word. So I will spend a few minutes to begin with, just introducing each of them, and after that I'll then open the floor to questions. And if you can all be thinking about things you might like to ask during the opening section, keep them in mind for a bit later on. So I'll start at this end.
Hello.
We have Ólafur Páll. Am I saying your name correctly?
Ólafur Páll.
Ólafur Páll.
It's good.
Okay.
Good.
And Olaf is an engineer at the Scala Center.
Correct.
Okay. Are you going to check everything I say? I'm going to have to refer to my notes now, just in case And you developed Scala formats.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So-
No, I think it's Scala FMT.
No, is it Scala format or Scala FMT?
That's a good question. I call it Scala format now, actually.
Shouldn't we
Oh,
standardize
but it's
this?
changed.
But I started doing that like 3 days ago. So
Oh, okay. So rebranding, Scala FMT is now Scala format.
yes, public service announcement.
Yes. And you've also been working more recently on Scala Fix,
Correct.
which is one of the probably the biggest user of Scala Meta at the moment. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Most-
Scala
most-
format and Scala fix both use Meta quite a lot.
Okay. And can you tell people a little bit about what Scala Fix is going to do?
Sure. It's a tool that does refactoring on Scala code, as many are familiar with in IntelliJ that we enjoy in our IDEs. But the big difference is that it uses symbols and types from the compiler, which means that it can be a bit more accurate.
So it's smarter.
Right. Yeah. And focus more on in terms of maybe command line interfaces and batch mode, so that everyone agree that we should not have unused imports in our project, so then we can remove them. But the main goal of Scala Fix is to help migrate between Scala versions, such as, for example, Dotty. If there's a breaking change, we can maybe automatically migrate code.
So this is going to be big for when people start adopting Dotty and they have these vast code bases of Scala 2.x.
Yeah, it'd be amazing if we could automate some of those breaking changes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And we're aiming to do as much as we can with it.
Awesome.
And of course, it also changes the debate. If you know you can automatically fix it, then yeah.
Great. And moving right from your point of view, Kelley Robinson, you have flown here from the US,
San
and
Francisco.
I think you have done as many transatlantic flights for Scala conferences as I have this year, which deserves a round of applause in itself. Not for me, for Kelley. I can't help myself. And you work in the advertising industry. Is that true?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Do you want to defend yourself?
We keep the internet free. You're welcome.
Okay, so the internet is free thanks to Kelley, and it says here that Kelley loves free monads. Is this true?
Who told you that?
I made it up.
So I think the lesson here is don't listen to anything Jon says.
Okay.
Too
Thank
soon?
you.
Too soon?
I don't mind. And more seriously, you have been instrumental in bringing about a wave of Scala bridges around the world. Would you like to tell people how that came about and what you're doing with Scala Bridge?
Sure. So Scala Bridge is an organization that's modeled off of several other bridge organizations. The first one was a Rails bridge that was started in 2007. And the idea is that you do a one-day programming workshop for people that don't know the language or the framework that you're teaching, and it's especially targeted at underrepresented groups. And so you give them a one-day workshop, a safe place to learn, a reason to go hack on some stuff for a day and learn some stuff. And it's a really successful model that other languages have picked up. And there's not one for Scala, or there wasn't one when I started coming to Scala conferences. And so I decided to start one. And it's been pretty cool. We've done them in San Francisco and Seattle. And there was one here before the conference, Basel. There's ones being planned in Vancouver and New York and London, maybe? Sure, yeah. Well, now I'm announcing that there's one in London, so somebody that lives in London, get on that.
So yeah, applause. So if there's people in the audience who, we've got a lot of people from all around the world here, if they are interested in starting a Scala Bridge group local to them, should they come and speak to you? What should be their next step? Yeah,
so I can probably put it on the website, or if you go to the Twitter, it's twitter.com/ScalaBridge. There's a link there that has some information about how to start a chapter, or you can contact me. All of the contact information gets forwarded to me right now, so you will be able to get my ear if you have a question about how to start a chapter.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Felix Mulder. That's correct. You've been at EPFL for how many months now?
How many months? I've been there a year and a half.
A year and a half? 18. Yeah, 18.
Thank you, Adrian.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. That's why I'm at program.
And you've worked on a couple of things that maybe people have seen and haven't really realized that Felix was involved in them. The smarter error messages, better error messages, what do you call them? Awesome error messages. Has anyone seen awesome error messages? They're in Scala 2.12.3?
They're in Dotty.
Oh, it's just Dotty?
Yes.
Are they good? I'll ask you if they're being back.
Thanks, Jon.
I can't take credit for Adrian's work.
So I'll add a question to Adrian later about Scala's error messages. So these are in Dotty, and you've also worked on improving Scala docs.
That's true. So I wrote the 2.12 docs, so that's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry, did you just say you wrote the docs? You wrote the 2.12 docs?
Well, I wrote the generator, right?
Okay. The truth is revealed. So anyone who has noticed an improvement in Scala docs that they've seen online, yes, I wasn't asking for hands up, but people have. People are so eager to tell you that they've enjoyed the improvement.
Has anyone seen a degradation in quality?
No hands raised. So well done. I'm certainly very pleased with the improvement. One last question: how much can you deadlift?
All right. 206.
206.
That's my current.
What are the units? Grams.
Do you even lift, bro?
Kilos, of course.
206 kilos.
I don't even know what that is in freedom units.
I think that's.
Am I the only American?
You can applaud if you want. 206 kilos.
I'm sorry.
But moving to my left, we have Miles Sabin. I've got your title here. Oh, you can check all of these off. Partner at Underscore Consulting, founder of Type Level, author of Shapeless, forker of Scala, type astronaut, slayer of SI 2712, of which we should say no more, Grand High Priest of the Church of Functional Programming, Overlord of the Type System, Destroyer of Macros, Higher Kinded Type, Dog Owner, and Scala Eclipse plugin developer. Lest we forget. Can you tell us what you're up to at the moment?
What am I up to at the moment? The last thing I did was...
I mean, just generally, not the
just
immediate
generally.
last thing.
I am here. I'm about to have a holiday. So the last thing of any interest to people in this room that I did was put out the last release of the type-level Scala compiler, which is my ongoing and possibly endless mission to make life more comfortable for people who write Scala libraries in the type-level style, the sort of pure typeful functional style that libraries in the type-level ecosystem.
And make life harder for Adriaan?
I'm doing my best to help Adriaan out in that department as well, if at all possible. Well, actually, I guess I missed out something, which is very recently I've been involved in getting things together for tomorrow, which, as everybody hopefully knows, is the type-level summit attached to Copenhagen, which is in the same venue. There's probably still just enough time for one or two people to sneak in if they find themselves at a loose end tomorrow. What else have I been up to?
Sneak in or buy tickets?
Buy tickets, obviously. Donations gratefully accepted. It's a community organisation, so we don't make money out of it.
And you've got a lineup of speakers tomorrow. Who
do?
Who is? Can you?
Oh my God!
mention
I actually don't know what's on the program. I can't think. My mind's gone
Okay.
blank.
The program is on the Type Level website.
Yes.
Typelevel.org.
If you go to typelevel.org, click on the events link, and the top one will be the Copenhagen program.
Great. And finally, last but not least, permanent fixture on these panels. Welcome back, Adriaan. Good to see you.
Hi. What do you have prepared for me?
I just left it blank, actually.
It's true, actually. I can see the screen.
Yes, Adriaan
All right, next question. I think we
no
should, let's just take some
introductions.
questions.
Yes.
It's a panel, after all.
Yeah, that's it, actually.
Yeah.
So, Adriaan is the lead developer on the Scala C compiler at Lightbend. How are things going?
Yeah, good, thanks, yeah.
You're getting lots of pull requests?
We are, yeah, it's great.
Welcome pull requests?
Absolutely, yeah, they're all welcome, yeah. Some we can't merge, but, most of them we do, yeah.
Okay, and what's the situation with bugs in Scala in general? Are you making headway?
We don't have any bugs, John. You said there was nothing on your screen.
This is from my...
Oh,
I'm making this up as I go along.
Yeah. Your piece, okay. Yeah.
No bugs. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. No, we do track them now on GitHub, so that's nice.
You've recently migrated.
Yeah. That's my proudest achievement this year.
So I think that's worthy of a round of applause. We are. So we are now on, I think, the 4th iteration of a bug tracker for the Scala compiler project.
That's right, and we still have all the bugs. I mean, all the bug reports. We have slightly fewer. Well, actually, we probably have more bugs than we did when we were using track. But yeah.
What was after track? We had
Jira. Before we had the homegrown.
We don't
need
Aladdin.
Aladdin,
yes.
yeah.
Which had a bright orange background. If anyone remembers that.
It was beautiful.
No, obviously nobody does.
We love that
Philip does.
yeah.
Great, and this should hopefully make the bug tracking and.
We've definitely noticed a pickup in reports. We basically
You
stopped
mean
looking at Jira
more
because
bugs.
it's so painful.
You mean a pickup in the number of bugs.
Reports.
Okay.
Reports. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's not just the most recent version of Scala introduced more bugs.
Oh, I may have introduced a
Okay,
couple,
yes.
but I wouldn't really blame it on the release.
Okay. So this is the panel. Please give them a warm welcome. And if anyone has any questions, please wave at me, because it's still very difficult to see, and I will...
All right, panel's over.
No, we have no questions. I have a... Maybe I've got some questions here. What does the panel think about significant white space in Dotty
Really have to leave with that one?
or Scala? So, abstaining.
Just going to my safe space.
You'll get the last word.
Wait. So, question: what's going on with significant white space in Dotty? Like, what's the proposal?
Okay,
what's happening?
I'll let Felix describe the proposal briefly.
So the proposal is basically to Mike. Okay, this one does not work.
You can speak into mine.
I can speak into John's. Hello. All right. So the proposal is basically to get rid of braces.
Is that why?
All right, let's not. It's on.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Good. So the proposal is basically to remove braces and replace certain fixtures with the keyword with, and thus freeing up white space in the code, making it more elegant. And of course, this sparked enormous controversy in our community. But civil controversy, I must add. I was really pleasantly surprised that there were no chairs thrown, death threats, and that sort of thing. So that was... Oh, that's true. It's a distributed community. It's hard to throw the chairs. But no figurative chairs were thrown either, so that was great.
So this was Martin's proposal.
This was
came with a pull request, with an actual implementation.
It did, and so the current proposal is actually fairly trivial to implement in the parser, because all it does is that it allows you to get rid of the braces by denoting them as a block if you have a with keyword. That's the gist of it anyway.
Okay, and there was a huge amount of discussion on GitHub. So that is the proposal. Miles, what was your initial visceral reaction to this?
Can you reenact it?
I have to say, I haven't actually been following that discussion at all. However,
So a blank stare.
a significant blank stare, I think, is my reaction.
Okay, significant.
No, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, this is way down too far the list of points in Waddler's law. So I wouldn't go that far.
There was actually a competing offer I heard during this conference by a guy from the Stockholm meetup, Odd, who said, well, all you really have to do is just make braces and brackets the same color as your background, and that's sort of the thing and you're already done.
I can get behind that proposal.
Yeah, I think... So does anyone else have any comments to make on this
Next
proposal?
question.
Well, I think I'm going to ask the audience.
Okay.
How many people would be in favour of Dotty switching from braces to significant white space? Raise your hands.
So we'll take a picture.
Okay, so there are a few. I would say that is between 2 and 5%. How many people are strongly against this proposal? Wait. So significantly more strongly against. How many are against it at all? Yeah, Andrea.
There's a question there.
Yeah.
The mic's coming.
The microphone is on its way.
You can call me Diana, thank you.
So
Thank you.
the question there is, of the people that are strongly against removing the braces, how many have used a significant white space language? Because I know that, at least in my experience, I was strongly against it until I used one for a while, for more than 5 minutes, for more than a day where you were throwing chairs at things and anybody around you.
So can I ask you how long or how far into your
Three, 4, maybe a week,
a
you actually
week
see,
in, and you were more in favour of?
well,
significant-
yeah, because it's like one of those things that you have to experience. It's like sushi, right? Someone will tell you, hey, go and eat some kind of non-made fish. And you're like, what? I mean, if you come from a culture that never it's sushi. And then you eat it and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, what I'm saying is like, if you have a strong against opinion on it, maybe you should try a significant white space language before trying any chairs.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, thank you. And this. This was for you did this in F sharp, is that correct? Yeah. So F sharp is a language that had braces and switched to significant white space. Just say yes. No. Okay, I've got it wrong. Oh, it's okay. But yeah, okay. So I think the point there is that before you sneer at this idea, it's a bit poetic, isn't it? Before you sneer at this idea, try it out. The PR is still open. Can people?
The branch is still available.
The branch is still there, so you could compile your own dossier and just give it a go.
Could I ask you a question?
Of course.
So how many people in the audience are totally against any evolving of the language? How many people want it to stay the exact same way it's always been?
That's a neutral question.
I just want to know.
Do you
we
want
do
to?
and our experts.
Do you want to? Could we ask a slightly different question? Could we say how many people are against busy work style changes that improve the syntax, maybe just slightly?
It's a neutral one too.
Yeah.
That's really vague.
Yeah, it's really vague.
But let's just say this, so our experience after this whole the issue and the discussions has been that we realized that people need the language to evolve at a slower pace, and preferably it should be able to be rewritable by ScalaFix. That's sort of the gist.
So, Olaf, would you describe ScalaFix as an enabler for breaking changes in the language?
Or an enabler for this discussion. I think people are just in some threads writing long essays. Well, we could just say, okay, we'll give it a shot, and then we can automatically switch it back and forth, and then we'll have
so it could be
way more experience or experience as was mentioned here from the audience. And I think we'll have a more interesting discussion on what features are important and what not.
Okay, so
anything that improves or makes people use ScalaFix, I'm happy. So.
I guess I kind of want to say something a little bit about ScalaFix. I think sort of the way it was characterized, Jon's description made it sound like it's just a tool that you can use to sort of migrate between different language versions or language dialects. And I think that's true. But I think all of us actually should be taking a much closer look at ScalaFix. It is, at least when the sort of semantic features become more mature, and quite a lot of progress has been made on that recently at any rate. I think we can start thinking of it as a general tool for making interesting and useful rewritings of Scala code in general. And personally, one of the things I'm most looking forward to being able to use it to do is to actually migrate between versions of libraries, or possibly even migrate between one library and some other similar library. And I think this has an enormous prospect of allowing us to actually evolve not just the language, but the entire ecosystem in a much more smooth and pleasant kind of way. I mean, Shapeless 3 will arrive one day, and it will be the changes it represents will be pretty big. I would love to be able to provide people with, a ScalaFix extension that they can use to kind of rewrite their code. And I think everyone else who actually is a library author ought to probably be taking a good close look at ScalaFix as well.
Talk to me.
Or just ship your library with some recipes to check that it's being used correctly, or that code smells that you recognize, and ways to fix those.
So maybe I can sell one of the coolest features I think that is quite easy to implement now. Would be, let's say, if you rename a method because you started out with a bad name and then you change the name. It might be possible actually just to say, oh, use this name instead. And from the deprecation warnings, you could actually convert that into diffs. So the users will just bump up the version number, they'll see these deprecation warnings, fix it without any instructions about what to fix. It'll actually just look at the messages and rename the call sites. I think would be pretty cool and would be fairly simple to provide.
So this sounds like a happy potential future utopia of instantly migrating code. Could you also perhaps have a Scala fix, I don't know if recipe is approved terminology.
Rewrite.
Rewrite, where if you wanted to migrate, say, from Scala Z to cats or cats to Scala Z, I won't suggest which of those is the correct direction, but maybe you want to go one way or the other. Could you instantly move people off one library and onto another, and could this get actually very competitive?
Yeah, the ecosystem might become a lot more hostile in the near future.
More hostile. Okay.
You can lose all of your users in a day.
But people have been looking into that.
Yes. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions from the audience? Please wave.
Steer us away
Now, I last time out in Chicago, I said the microphone is on its way, and I got this response back, which was, the microphone's called Diana. So Diana is on her way, and the microphone is now with the questioner. But just before I do, I'd like to say to the panel, I'm going to ask you all the questions after this one, which will be, what is the most exciting thing you've seen in Scala recently? So think about that, and we'll go to the question over there.
Right. So my question would be, out of all the features that were introduced in type-level Scala 4, which ones are likely to appear in Scala 2.12, 13, 2.12? Which version are we in now?
Is that addressed to me or to Adriaan?
A bit of both, actually.
Yeah, I think it's this end of the table.
Well, obviously, I'd like to see them all arrive. Actually, that's not entirely true. I mean, I think the kind polymorphism stuff, it's very much experimental. Pascal, Voito, Mandubian, it was very much sort of an idea we discussed. We thought this would be an interesting thing. Just how little of kind polymorphism can we add to the language to be able to do something interesting with? And what we came up with.
Could you just describe kind polymorphism
Yes.
very briefly? Because I think a lot of people won't know what that is.
Kind polymorphism is basically a way of abstracting over types independently of their kind. Okay, so the kind is essentially the arity of a type constructor. So a simple type like int is kind star. A type constructor like list, it's a type constructor with one hole in it. Map is a type constructor with two holes in it. At the moment, there is literally nowhere in a Scala program that you can write int and also write list or map. So there has to be, you can't bind a type variable with all three of those things. There are various kinds of fiddly ways that you can work around this with sort of overridden, duplicated methods and this kind of thing, but it generates huge amounts of boilerplate. So the minimal kind of thing we did, Pascal did in his feature, which is in type-level Scala, is just allow you to be able to specify that a type variable can be instantiated by a type of any kind. And we did nothing else at all. That's the absolute minimum we did. And we thought that this would be an interesting starting place to sort of play around with and explore just how much you can do with that and how much more you might need. I don't think Adriaan is likely to merge this, and I think it's probably not, it wouldn't be a good idea, because it's definitely exploratory, it's very much experimental. So the things that are more likely are the things that either already are kind of, basically they're things which, like the inductive implicit stuff, I'm going to do some more work on by name implicits and something equivalent to shapeless is lazy, which Martin has picked up for Dotty. And very helpfully written the SIT for me, so I don't have to do it, which is great. So things like that are the kinds of things that are going to go in. I mean, ideally everything that appears in type-level Scala will get merged. But there are some things which I think are more experimental and further out than others. At which point I think Adriaan probably needs to say something.
I don't really need to.
Well, okay, I was just going to pick up on something you said there, which is that you don't expect this to be merged into Scala C proper. Is it not a requirement that any change to the type level compiler must have some likelihood of being merged?
Some likelihood.
Okay.
How about zero likelihood?
Well, I don't think anything in the type level compiler has a zero likelihood of being merged.
So, Adriaan, would it not be useful to?
Okay, fine. You know, I do want to say something. I mean, this is not kind polymorphism. It's like dynamic kinding or something like that. It's like saying generics are like casting. You know, it's not.
By the way, I'm going to ask the audience afterwards what they think.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know. I think it's not really. I don't want to spend the whole panel debating, you know, this kind of stuff. I'm happy to
I'm
talk
guessing
about
that
it.
half the panel or half the audience would never use this feature. Probably more than
Well,
half
I mean,
or something like that.
Yeah,
Well,
I
okay,
mean,
here's-
this is for library
here's
authors,
a-
and
here's
I think it is useful for providing, you know, practical type class instances across different arities of type constructors. But the cost currently as proposed is basically to go back to before we had kind checks. So, yeah, I think these technical discussions are better had on the pull request.
So I mean, at the moment, you can have some sort of collection in the collections library, and these all have a to method.
Right.
And the to method takes a parameter, and you can write to list, you can write to vector, to seek, but you can't write to map. You have to write map as a
Right,
there's a
because
completely
map
different
has two
method
type
called to
arguments,
map.
whereas the other.
So I think the kind polymorphism that is implemented in type level Scala would actually have dealt with that particular issue, because one of the very few things you can do with an any-kinded type variable is you can use it to index a type class. So you could have had a type class summoned to perform a conversion for a list or a map or whatever. So it would have done the trick in that case.
But it's raw types at the kind level.
No, it really is not raw types. Absolutely not.
Is there a SIP for this?
No.
Should there be?
That's a long conversation. No, at the moment it's an experiment, and I don't think it's ready. So it needs more work.
So I have a question for the audience. How many of you out there consider yourself library authors and maintainers?
All of you?
Okay, just curious.
So what would you say? There's about 10%, maybe fewer, a bit less. Well, how many of you would describe yourselves as definitely not library authors? You're simply using other people's libraries and you're writing application code. So that those two don't add up to 100%. So there's a lot of people in this grey area in the middle who sort of maybe do a little bit of library level work. Yeah. What was the intention for your question?
Well, I think there's certain features that we talk about building into the language that people talk about as being useful for library authors. And I think one of the problems that I've seen a lot with Scala is that people try to introspect into library code and they have no idea what it's doing. And so it doesn't matter if your code or the types of things that you're bringing into the feature, I don't think it should just be limited to people that you're designating as library authors. I think that us as a community, we want to be able to build and extend that code, and making that make sense to everyone and making them as features that we think everybody would use is probably where we should prioritize. That's my opinion.
I agree with that, and I think features of this sort, they definitely need to be motivated. I think that kind polymorphism ultimately can be justified, but not in its current form. And I think we should probably move on from that until it's got to a form where we can.
Unless anyone has any other questions, I will.
Next question to your right.
Okay, well, by the way,
Thanks, Diana.
is the panel still thinking about what's the most exciting thing they've seen in Scala? You still that in mind? Yeah. Okay. Next question. Meanwhile,
I wanted to return to the topic of significant white space.
okay.
Next question.
Next question, please.
Wait a second, please. Wait a second, please.
I can't see.
Mercy on me. I'm programming in Python since.
Hi, Jan. Sorry.
Thanks. I'm programming in Python since 1996, and I still haven't got used to significant white space, and still causing breakage, especially for the programs that are mixing up tabs and spaces, and there are such in Python.
Okay, so there's...
And
okay.
then in Golang, there is absolutely no issue because there is one true formatting style that's enforced on all the programs. And the question is, do you envision in Scala and one true formatting that will be, used across all the programs, like one official style with Scala FMT probably, that you just everything will be formatted in the same way.
So one
I'm just moving the microphone away from everyone.
One true formatting.
one formatting to rule them all.
Yeah.
I would personally
Olaf,
love that.
I think Olaf Olaf could be
comment.
instrumental in enabling there
But
to be
here's
one
the
true
thing, I think-
formatting. What do you think about this?
I can't help but notice Martin
I'm
running
gonna
out of the
steal
room.
your
He's like,
answer,
no.
Chris.
I'll let Kelley answer for me.
Well, here's the thing. I think when you're programming in something like Go, you don't have to think about the syntax, and you don't have to think about those debates with your coworkers when you're trying to get pull requests. Yeah, or generics. We mentioned Go for like 2 seconds, and you already have to make that
That
joke.
was more than 2 seconds. Come on.
I'd also like to draw the audience's attention to the fact that Martin has just walked out at the continued discussion of significant
As
white
soon as we
space.
mention Go, he has to leave. But the
I
thing
don't think
is
it's Go or white
when you
space.
take away some of these other concerns from your code, you can start to think about the parts of your programming that actually matter, and then you're not doing those types of debates over pull requests about the nitpicks over style and that kind of thing. And that's where I really enjoyed programming in Go in production, because you started thinking about things in other ways. And you create a pull request in Scala and people have opinions about how to do things, and I think that's a feature and a bug of the language, and we can debate that. But
No, I mean, totally agree. Like, I think that's one of the good things that they have to offer, and I don't think we'll ever have like one single style of Scala coding, but I think we should have like the officially recommended one, and I think it's something that is on us to do, and we haven't done it, and I mean, we're aware that we should have.
and something that you could configure with your team and set up a certain style, which is already what you can do with Scala format.
Yeah,
And
totally agree.
on that topic, though, I'm really happy to see that the SPT team decided to reformat their code base with Scala FMT. Scala format, sorry. And we are having a very healthy dialogue about finding sane defaults with settings. So and I think there's a lot of momentum in this direction. So, but yeah, it's hard to convince some people.
Okay, so Kelley, I want to go back to something you said a couple of minutes ago about users of libraries going and introspecting those libraries to work out how they work. Now, a lot of the libraries I write, and I think this is probably true of many of the library authors out there is a lot of horrible stuff hidden in those libraries that is there because you don't want the users to see it. It's hiding, it's abstracting, in a way, the details of how things work, and they're often very ugly details. Do you think people who are using those libraries should be encouraged to look at them, or do you think that we should be documenting them better as a way to avoid the need ever arising to look at the ugly innards?
Yeah, I think a lot of the reason that I end up introspecting libraries is because there's not sufficient documentation on how things work. And so adding more documentation to your libraries would be a huge first step. I think the ideal situation for any library is I import it, it works, I don't have to do anything. So that's my dream future of any library. But I think the situations where you start to introspect code is when you're getting into more gnarly problems. And so.
And do you think that's more common in Scala than other languages? The implication maybe being that possibly it is. Yeah.
But I also think that lack of documentation is a reason that you start to look at source code, and that generated docs and things like that would be a huge help.
So, okay, so why is Scala's documentation so bad? I mean, ignoring my own contributions to it being bad.
Do
But,
you accept the premise?
well, by all means challenge it.
Felix, how do you feel about this?
I feel good. No, but seriously though, I think it's absolutely correct, as Kelley's saying, that we should do a better job at documenting our libraries, and I think we've made huge leaps throughout the last 1.5 years, especially with SPT microsites.
Since you started?
Of course. Since I started, of course. No, but with SPT microsites, etc., I think all the using Tut to compile the examples, etc.
So Tut is a project by Rob Norris. It's part of Type Level that will compile all of the code in your documentation. So if Scala, the language, changes, you can recompile and check that your examples, fragments of code are still valid.
Exactly. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Do we have more audience questions?
Yeah,
I feel
anyone?
like we had a couple more.
Yeah, Tom has been.
One question
Oh,
about
sorry.
Scala fix. Do you see it in future really fixing the code or just migrating from one version of the library to another? For example, IntelliJ IDEA can suggest you to replace, for example, filter.size greater than 0 with exists method on collection. Do you see Scala fix really fixing this issue automatically in future?
So we have all the infrastructure to do that, and I think if someone is willing to put in the hours, I think we can integrate these with IDs as well, so that you can get these inspections right in your editor, and you can selectively apply them in subparts of your code. So quick answer, yes, I guess.
So I think we have time for one more question, then the panel will answer.
Toma had a question.
Oh, sorry, Diana?
Toma had a question.
Yeah, Toma, you've already got the mic. Okay, go for it. I know that every Scala Days I think you've come to, you have asked a question during the final panel.
Typically, yeah. Actually, I have two short ones, I hope. So actually, there was a really great setup just a minute ago, and I kind of missed the opportunity, but oh well. The first question is, with following up on, and I'm not going to go into that subject again, but it's following up on the discussion around significant white space. I think there is, obviously everyone's going to go, but no, I think one thing that is very, very clear about that is the discussion is not really around significant white space per se, it's around how opinionated Scala as a language and as a tooling ecosystem should be. And I think that one of the more kind of bigger, shall we say, selling points for a lot of the people coming into the community is that Scala tends to be not very opinionated. If you look at very common libraries like Scala Test and Spex2, you actually have 5 different styles of building your tests, and a lot of people actually see that, including myself, by the way, as a good thing. So I'm just kind of wondering, as 6 kind of prominent personalities in the Scala community and authors of a lot of the tools that we use, well, Kelley sort of answered that, but the rest of you, do you feel that Scala should be more opinionated than it is, than it currently is, with respect to style and just generally on the spectrum of do whatever you want, we support everything, versus there is one true way, Go, of doing things?
So if that was a short question,
I hope the answer is a short one. I don't know.
The panel thinks it's a good question. I would agree. Who would like to take that one? Adrian.
I'll try to make my answer shorter than your question. Yes.
Sorry about that.
No. I don't think it's a problem. Well, I think Scala language can remain flexible while having a clear opinion on how you're supposed to use it. Electricity is really flexible. You're free to stick your fingers into socket and electrocute yourself. But as a society, we figured out that's probably not a good thing to do. And some people invest in things to plug into the socket, so you can't.
It's a good metaphor, though.
So you can't do that, right? And I think that's kind of the stuff that Scala FM format thing is for, right? Is that, and as a community, forming the basis for what Scala stands for, or how we recommend you use Scala, is important. I think that's really something that I think, because Scala is so flexible, is even more necessary. The other languages are kind of opinionated by default because they just don't support that flexibility. But so yes, I think in short, it's not because it's flexible that you can't be very opinionated on how your team uses it right now. And that might change over time. That might be different for different teams, but we should give you the tools to enforce what you think is good. And I feel like we have kind of maybe let you down a little bit, that we don't have a good recommend that maybe default probably fits most people style.
I think the other thing to consider is, now that Scala has gained a lot more popularity, you have more and more people that are not choosing to come into Scala, but maybe get a job and now they're writing Scala, and they just want to know what to do to get their job done. And so without these kind of opinionated standards. I think there's a lot of people out there that appreciate the flexibility, but a lot of people that want to be told what to do so that they can go on and like do other things that they need to do in their jobs.
So Scala also has a lot of opinionated programmers, and often these opinions clash. In particular with things like how you format your code. Do you think, I mean, I'm going to suggest the answer, but do you think a lot of these opinionated programs just need to be more flexible in their opinions? Otherwise, I mean, there's always going to be a clash.
I think someone like Adrian's team or the Scala Center or someone needs to decide what they think and offer a suggestion, and then we'll go from there.
So different coding standards, guidelines that people can...
I mean, it's always going to come back down to what your team wants to do. And so if we can, as a community, and it's easier said than done, as a community come up with our agreed standard, that, sounds like a 5-year project to me, but you're going to have a lot easier time coming up with that on your individual team in the domain that you know what you're going to need to do, the people that you know how you're going to be programming with.
Okay,
so that's also one of the fallacies with Scala, right? You can keep iterating on the same problem again and again and again. You can keep rewriting things in a way that's more fun, right? And I think we all do this, as Dag said in his talk earlier. And the key is not to get stuck there. And one of the things from Olaf's thesis, which he quoted, was, I can't remember who it was, but he says basically what the guy is saying is that any style guide that's all-encompassing is too long, and anything else that's shorter is just not enough.
It's ambiguous.
It's ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Miles, you get the last word on this question.
Yeah. I guess I have a slightly different view on this. I kind of think that the straight answer to the question is the question being should Scala be more opinionated or not is maybe it depends. And I think right. So I think there are some places where opinions matter, and some places where opinions they're not very important. My personal view is that certainly as Scala currently is without significant white space, for example, people have lots of choices about how they lay out their code, and I think that within a group of people working together on a piece of code, I think it's good that the Scala programming language supports many different styles. I also think it's great if we have tools which make it straightforward to translate between those styles, and I think things like ScalaFix actually are enormously supportive of us having... What did I say? It's format.
You said ScalaFix. But you mean Scala format?
I think I meant Scala format.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
harder than type constructors.
So I think having tools which allow us to, if you like, abstract in a sense over things which are differentially relevant depending on who you are and where you are and what the context is. I think that's great. On the other hand, there are some things which I think are more important than that. I think we should, for example, be even more opinionated than we are about null currently. It would be great if we were to actually eliminate null from the language entirely. And that is very much expressing an opinion.
It wouldn't. Wouldn't it be nice if it could be just expressed as a union type? Say in Dotty.
Absolutely, right. But this is a work in progress. It's not there yet. So I think. But
this particular feature is in Dotty.
Union types are in.
Union types are, but
there's no
types not having null as default.
Well,
I don't think that is there yet.
Not yet.
Right. Okay. That's what I meant. But I mean, my point here is not to criticize that. That's a good thing. That's actually the language being more opinionated about something which really matters. So I kind of think it's contextual. It depends on what we're talking about, and that's an example where I would like us to be more opinionated. There are plenty of other places where actually I think it's great to let things be different.
Okay, thank you, Miles. That was the last word on that topic. I think Thomas.
Can I answer that question maybe too?
Timed out.
John, can I answer quickly the question?
You wanted a last word?
Yeah.
Oh, go on then. You've got 10 seconds.
I have So, but I think yes, and I think we can get tools to really help, figure out the trivia for us so that we can really focus on the apps or like the ends rather than the means. So.
Okay. Thank you, Olaf. So I asked the panel one question earlier to all of them, which is, what is the most exciting thing you've seen in Scala recently? Olaf.
Can we start from the other side?
Yes, Adriaan. I don't want the implication to be
Can
that...
I talk about some white space somewhere? Or no?
I mean, maybe it is significant white space. It's the most exciting thing you've seen.
Well, I can't answer that, but I am excited about working on the REPL for 213.
So there's big improvements planned for that.
Well, not huge ones,
Okay, but enough to be
at least,
exciting.
Yeah, I think exciting ones.
Yeah. Miles?
It's not quite there yet, but it's very, very close. Cats 1.0 and Cats Effects. I think it's been really, really exciting over the last couple of years, seeing how Cats has taken off, how people are contributing to it, using it, and the fact that we are now weeks away from a first milestone release of 1.0, I think is brilliant. And I think the Cats Effect stuff is, if you like, the last missing piece of the picture, which is kind of holding people back from adopting it. That's also coming together now. So that, for me, I think is kind of one of the biggest things.
Cats 1. Felix?
Right. So the thing that I've been noticing this past year and a half is that we've been giving more space to, or speakers have chosen to speak about more pragmatic solutions to problems. For instance, like Dag, how to run a company on Scala, and Kelley on both free monads and functional programming today. And I think hearing these voices in our community is something that's really important when we have a large community that chooses different styles of Scala.
Okay, thank you. Kelley?
I'm really excited about some of the user-friendliness initiatives that is prioritized for 213, and hopefully we'll see some of the backported stuff that Felix was showing in his talk yesterday. So I know you're already working on the REPL. I've semi-volunteered to help out with the docs and the error messages.
Kelley will be helping out with the docs.
Yeah, and the error
Got
messages.
it?
All the other user-friendly.
Yeah, everything else is going to be my job, right? I did not volunteer.
Awesome. And finally, because you didn't want to be first, Olaf, this better be good.
Yeah, I'm most excited about SPT 1.0. I think it's going to be a huge enabler for tooling. And they just had a milestone 6 release now this week. And I really want to encourage everyone to give it a try, see what plugins are missing, etc. Because it's going to be huge for tooling. Like, it's going to be really, really good.
So is that exciting because it's finally got this significant version number, or because there's new features?
Can you rephrase the question?
That we don't have in the new features we don't have in the 013.
I think we spend a lot of time dealing with builds and
longer than we would like, I would say.
Yeah, and I have wasted a sad amount of time for the past year getting over class loading issues because SPT is on 2.10. And I'm really excited to be able to use Scala format, for example, inside the build without doing evil class loading stuff. So that's why I'm really excited about it.
So we can finally drop Scala 210 support.
I'm really, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. So all that remains is for me to say thank you to you as the audience for your questions and your patience listening to lots of comments about white space. Thank you to the panel. Olaf Gerson, was it right this time? Closer.
Great.
Kelley Robinson, Felix Mulder, Miles Sabin, and Adriaan Moors. Would you please give them a warm round of applause?
Thank you, John.
And the...
Thank you, John.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. And the thing I forgot to do in Chicago, which is to say, this is the most important thing, to say thank you to Trifork and all of the volunteers who have made this conference possible and amazing. Would Diana and any of the volunteers who are here, please just come forwards. And I don't know if you can stand on the stage. Just stand
Yes,
up there
we can.
and
Some of my other team.
There must be
here.
more than 2 of you.
Yes, but they are wrapping up right now, so I
So
can't see any.
Lucas and Diana almost single-handed. Okay, we've got more.
On
Okay,
behalf
please.
of Trifork, on behalf of the crew, we're here on stage. There's more crew. Yay!
Yes.
Volunteers. They helped us.
There are
with all
more.
the
There are
things.
more volunteers
Yeah,
around.
there-
amazing.
I think in total it was 27 volunteers over the last few days, and I am just the ambassador of the team behind this. So yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much. And since I have the microphone and you're still in this room, and the doors are locked, thanks to all of the speakers. You did a great job. Thanks to the audience. Thank you for coming. Thanks to the sponsors. Thanks to the AV people. And thank you to our video people. So thanks all around and a safe journey home. Thank you.